Hey, Donald Trump is not playing. He is not playing. You know, according to the latest news, it says that the United States of America has 11.2 million illegal immigrants. Even though we spoke about how the word illegal immigrant is used, illegal. However, let's go with that for now. If you are out of status here, you're considered illegal to the average layman person. So, everybody is wondering how is he going to do it? How is he, with 4 years in office, going to get rid of 11 million people, possibly changing the landscape of America and solving a long-standing problem? Well, we've seen so far people being deported to countries they don't come from, and now we've also about to see a lot of people who were given some legal protection while their paperwork were being processed now has that paperwork protection removed. So the Trump administration on Thursday actually took away temporary legal protection for Haitian migrants who are living in the United States. This now has laid the groundwork for them to be targeted for deportation in less than 6 months. So once your protection is taken away, this is pretty much the president's way of saying ICE agents have free reign. There's an extra 520,000 individuals out here. Oh, by the way, they're Haitians because I just took away all their protection, which they had under the Biden administration. So go after them. They're here. Before we go further with this, right, let me just say this. People talk about being good and being and taking care of your neighbor next door. Sometimes I see people looking at all the way across the ocean for people to help. I stand with, I don't know, all these countries, the country that's bombing, that's fighting with Russia right now. I stand with them. I stand with this place and that place. But Haiti is right next door to the United States of America, and Haiti is in turmoil. And if we can't stand with Haiti, there's nobody else that we can stand with. They are our neighbor. And Haiti could be a strategic point for the United States of America if you really, really think about it. Anyways, let's get right back to the factual information. So, in August, up to 520,000 Haitians, some who came into the country illegally and others who were authorized to come into the U.S. through the Biden-era programs, they could lose their temporary protected status. Well, they just did because the president just took it away. It is a designation created by Congress in 1990 and used by Republicans and Democratic presidents to offer legal reprieve to people from countries that are struck by natural disasters, armed conflicts, or other extraordinary and temporary conditions. For some of you in the comment section who are going to run to, yeah, it's all under the Democrats. This is something that has been used by both Democratic and Republicans. So, you might find one side might use it to help people of color while another side uses it to help people of their color, if you know what I mean. Anyways, the decision from Noam is part of the presidential Donald Trump's expansive crackdown on immigration, and it paves the way for him to increase the number of migrants who are now eligible to be removed from the United States of America. There are so many things that are going on right now which people should be aware of. Like, we put out one video a few days ago that spoke about green card holders being apprehended at the airport. And there were people in the comment section willing to argue. Instead of going to a law site and listening to an attorney speak to you about it, there are people with green cards who are being held at the airport. Now, if you listen carefully, you would have known that it's probably not those who have had their green cards for 4 years and 5 years. more than likely it is those who have their green cards in the probationary period, a conditional green card. Because within the first 2 years of you having a green card, you're not expected to really go anywhere for any extensive period of time outside of the United States of America. You are supposed to be proving to the U.S. government that this is where you want to be, this is where you want to live and pay taxes and work and set up a family and live your life. So what's the purpose of you running all over the place, right? So these people within that probationary period under the Trump administration, even though this law has always been on the books, even though it was not something that was mandatory, but it was well known. Well, they are enforcing it now more than ever before. So some people are getting the corners of that green card clipped off when they come to the airport. Some people are getting their green cards taken away. Some people are now being refused entry under that. A lot of things are going on. We put another video up where we told you that people who were set up, they were on protective status, just like these Haitians. They had a court date set. They were waiting for their case to be called to court. They also had a mandatory check-in, so immigration authorities would know where you are at. So they would say to you, check in the 1st and the 15th of every month. And these people have been checking in the 1st and the 15th religiously, regularly. Well, these people are now checking in only to be detained and deported. Some of them, their deportation orders came down without them even knowing it. So they go to check in thinking it's a regular check-in because they're still waiting on their court date for their asylum cases to be heard, and only to show up after you showed up so many times, not expecting to be handcuffed, and they're handcuffed and placed in lockup, and then they are deported. One woman spoke about her husband, who has been checking in for years, who went to check in recently, and he checked in on Monday, and his deportation flight left Tuesday morning, the day after he checked in. So he was in another country in 24 hours or less. These are the things that are happening behind the scenes right now. So this decision to remove protection for 520,000 Haitians is nothing new. Donald Trump just removed the same protection for over 1 million Venezuelans. Now, Trump has long railed against the Biden administration immigration policies, including authorities the former president used to allow certain migrants to enter into the country legally. And again, I want people to understand this. There were things that allowed people to enter into the country legally. These are the people who some of us are calling illegal immigrants. They entered legally under a government. It might not have been a government we liked. The policy might not have been what we liked, but it was perfectly legal. Now, the thing is, Donald Trump has a right as president to slash all that, to roll all that back, to call it illegal in his eyes, and to take away protection from these individuals and send them back out of the country. It's just a sticky situation, and that's where we are at. So Biden and his former Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, they attempted to tie the hands of the Trump administration by extending Haiti's temporary protected status by an extra 18 months. Far longer than it was justified to be so, or far longer than necessary, according to the spokesperson of the current administration. We are returning integrity to the TPS system, which has been abused and exploited by illegal aliens for decades. President Trump and Secretary Noam are returning TPS, which is Temporary Protective Services, to its original status, which is temporary. You can't argue with that. The first word in TPS is temporary. So how long is temporary, right? Now, the Biden administration tried to help the Haitians by saying, you know what, I'll add an extra year and a half onto your temporary. But the Trump administration is like, nah, that's too long. Temporary is temporary, and this is going to be very temporary for them. Well, it's not looking good for the Haitians, and President Trump and Secretary Noam are returning the original status to temporary. Noam will have to decide come August whether to revoke the protection for the group altogether, a protest that appears likely. Trump has long targeted this population, the Haitian population, zeroing in on Springfield, Ohio during his campaign, where thousands of migrants with temporary protection status live and work in the community. If you remember, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. You remember when that came about, right? Well, he had his eyes set on that population from back then. So now that he has won the election, they are in his crosshairs on his rifle, and he's firing away. In January, Noam similarly revoked Biden administration extension for Venezuelans, which would have allowed them to remain in the United States until fall of 2026. Now they are fair game for deportation starting in April of this month, of this year, 2025. We are in February, heading into March. So those Venezuelans, they have another month, and then it's game on for them and ICE. The Haitians have until August, and then it's game on for them and ICE. That move has already spurred legal challenges, of course. There are lawyers and activists who are bringing up court cases and trying to save some of these people from being sent back. But the Donald Trump administration is not backing down. They are fighting everybody who wants to fight. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. They have things lined up in their favor. Everywhere that you're supposed to go for an approval, Donald Trump has somebody there already in position to approve his moves. So more than likely, whatever it is this president says is more than likely what is going to happen. Hey man, shout out to my Haitian people. Sak passe. I hope y'all are bracing yourselves for what's to come, because it's coming. Okay? It's coming. The Haitians have way more people in the United States of America that are considered illegal than, say, Jamaica, per se, or any other Caribbean island. But nonetheless, they are a Caribbean island. And they are the Caribbean island with the most so-called illegal immigrants in the United States of America. Just a fact I'll throw out there quickly. Leave your comments in the comment section below. 520,000 Haitians protection to be removed. And if it does go into effect, they have until August of this year to decide actually if it will or it won't. And your best bet is that it will, because they have already removed the Venezuelans, and their protection, their TPS, was applied to over 1 million Venezuelans who come April will no longer have protection in the United States of America. Pass the information on. Each one teach one. It's 2025. We are on the highway information. Ignorance is not an excuse. Hit the subscribe button so you stay updated to the latest immigration information as it updates. I'll catch you on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.